The French ambassador in Bamako, His Excellency Joel Mayer, has been summoned by the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation. During this exchange, he was told about the decision taken by the government to ask him to leave the country within 72 hours. This measure has been taken following the hostile and insulting comments made by the French Minister for Europe and Foreign Affairs.
Well, just back from Bamako, where he was reporting for France 24, senior correspondent James Andre. James, Paris right now with a muted response. They're taking stock of this expulsion. But man, when you think that last week included the junta kicking out Danish peacekeepers, this week is off to a pretty heady start.
Absolutely. No, this is a big move, this question of this business of indeed expelling the French ambassador. Because indeed, as you were saying, last week it was the Danish component of the Takuba force, which is supposed to be the force taking over from Barkhane. Barkhane is the French operations. It's been ongoing after Serval since 2013. And
just to remind our viewers, while this rowing is going on over whether or not you return to civilian rule, there's still a jihadist insurgency to be fought, and there's 4,800 French peacekeepers still, or not peacekeepers, they're actually fighting the jihadists.
Yeah, they're
fighters,
soldiers,
excuse me, fighting the jihadists in the north of the country.
Absolutely, and trying to stabilize Mali. And so they've been there now for 8 years. 53 French soldiers have died. Yes, indeed, the junta has come into power. And when it did in June, I mean, this is probably when this row actually starts. This was like the coup d'etat inside the coup d'etat. But anyway, when Goïta arrived in power, indeed, Emmanuel Macron said, we are going to scale back and stop Barkhane, which will be replaced by Takuba. Well, this last week, indeed, the junta decided to expel 90 soldiers. These are elite soldiers and military surgeons that had come from Denmark to help in northern Mali. They also hinted to the fact that a flurry of other countries did not have bilateral accords in order to send these soldiers in. The Danes and the French are saying, wait a minute, this is completely legal. We have treaties. This is perfectly all right. But the junta is saying, yeah, but you signed those treaties with the previous government, and we do not agree.
So why don't they want the Danes there?
Because they're in this narrative of trying to tell the population that they do not want any foreign intervention anymore, that it is not working because they're under sanctions. In fact, from the 10th of January, the ECOWAS, which is the Regional Economic Organization, has slapped really harsh sanctions on Mali.
Yeah, full embargo.
Full embargo, and they've stopped them. They've embargoed also on the financial side, and this is the biggest problem for the junta, because observers over there, and I've just come back from there, say, you know, they can probably go on for a month or two paying salaries to the soldiers, to the policemen, but what happens when they run out of cash because they cannot go and get some on the local market? So this is a race against the watch for how long can they actually withstand these sanctions, not lose public support. So what they're doing right now is stoking this anti-French sentiment, which you can actually see very vividly when you're there. People are saying, you know, we thank the French for what they've done, but they're not being efficient right now. And we believe the French are not actually finishing the job off because they want to stay. This is what the junta is selling people.
The junta is selling the concept of they're fighting neo-colonialism, if
exactly,
you will.
Yeah.
Let's look at the French side, because today the French are understated after the expelling of their ambassador. But we saw all of last week the rhetoric go up a notch. The defense minister first saying, we're not sure how long we can stay, and we have to reassess if things continue on this road. Then the foreign minister calling the junta illegitimate. And most recently, saying that, and we can show you what his quote was to a French Sunday newspaper, Jean-Yves Le Drian, saying that the Russian mercenaries of Wagner are already helping themselves to the country's resources in exchange for protecting the junta. Quote, they are plundering Mali. These are strong words. They knew they'd get a reaction.
Yes, they did. Of course, they knew they'd get a reaction. And the thing is, it's difficult to read into what's exactly happening. It's difficult to read what the junta's doing, because basically, according to French intelligence, there are about 450 Wagner paramilitary mercenaries in Mali. When you listen to Malians, and I was with them last week, people from security services, etc., they tell you, these guys are super efficient. They're going to clean up the whole of northern Mali in 6 months. Right, that's a pretty difficult bet. On the other hand, the French, obviously, this is what the people on the street are saying. The government still denies that Wagner is in the country. When it comes to the French are saying, we have treaties, we have the right to stay, we have the force to stay as well, but how long do you stay in a country that doesn't want you there? And obviously, politically, this is going to become a bit difficult. Why? Because basically, there were 4 pillars to this operation in the Sahel that were defined in the Po Summit. That was back in 2020. They said there's the military, of course, but then there's development, stability, and nation building in northern Mali. Now, those 3 objectives, apart from the military one, are unobtainable right now. It's impossible to move on them when you have juntas and coups d'etats and everything. It's impossible, of course. So France is starting to, the French have to think, right, how long can we stay in these circumstances? People don't want us there and we can't achieve our goals. So, it's been 8 years. A French soldier died 10 days ago. It was not last Saturday before. He was 25 years old. Usually the transition government and all the Malian governments always react saying, they have a communique saying, we were very sad, etc. This time they did not. There was absolutely no official word.
But there was a communique saying that they had, in cooperation with the French, killed, I forget, I have the numbers, but...
They still communicate on the
jihadists.
victories. So it's very unclear what games are being played here. It looks like, basically Paris is like calling Bamako's bluff right now, saying, right, okay, so you don't want us there? Do you really not want us there? And so we'll see where this goes. It's unclear what Mali will do if the French eventually pull out, because some sources in Bamako was telling me, Emmanuel Macron might just think, right, enough, and let's leave, which will take a few months, but that will be the end of the operation in Mali. But also, they might want to stay, see what the sanctions have as an effect, and eventually see if this kind of destabilizes the junta as well.
All right, many thanks, James Andre. And